Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to the TCR Civil Rights Agenda show on the LGBT community. The show is brought to you by the Trans Civil Rights Agenda. It is at 2129 North Western Avenue, and if you would like to volunteer to help them, they would love to have your help. Okay, I do have a guest that's supposed to be coming, and I believe she'll arrive shortly. Her name is Jennifer Fisher. I do want to remind everybody watching that we are an interactive show, which means that you can call with questions at 312-738-1060. Again, that number, and it should be showing at the bottom of your screen there. If you have questions or you have comments, please call 312-738-1060. I am going to lead off, until our guest gets here, I'm going to lead off with, we know there's a lot of things going on with Mr. Trump and his newfound bunch of bandits. Anyway, one of the things that is highly important is the fact that the LGBTQIA community is getting beaten up by Mr. Trump and his administration, as well as many of his supporters. Jeff Sessions, as we know, has rescinded any and all executive orders that were aimed at making it a lot easier on the LGBT community, especially the trans community. We still have 30 out of 50 states, which means 60% of the states in this country still discriminate against LGBTs, especially transgenders. In those 30 states, it is legal for employers to fire a transgender just for being transgender, irregardless of how well they work or their work record or anything else. Now, does that mean that there are companies that don't? Of course there are. AT&T, Target. There are many companies out there that are very accepting and tolerant of our community. But there's so many people and so many companies that aren't. And the biggest sad news is, of course, that our new administration is very anti-LGBT. Okay, just as they're anti-women, just as they are anti-immigrants, just as they are racist with the black community, etc., etc. So I think we need to take stock in the fact that we have a very discriminatory society right now, being led by probably the most discriminatory administration ever elected. Okay? Which brings me to a thought that I had coming in today, and it's a question probably that maybe some of you have ideas on, maybe it's not. I think our problem in this country is that nobody cares. Okay, I won't say nobody. Some people care. Okay? And you can see it by the fact that we have people that show no consideration for others in many various ways. Okay? You look at the traffic on the streets and the expressways, you see people speeding, you see people cutting people off, you see people following too close, you see people who don't have their headlights on when it's raining, which is a state law. You see truckers who drive in the third and fourth lane even though the white on black signs say trucks use 2 right lanes. Doesn't say any exceptions for passing or anything. It says trucks use 2 right lanes. Do you think these people are considerate enough to stay in their 2 right lanes? No, they don't. Okay? It's shown in driving. It's shown in the way people treat other people. An excellent example. And we see this every Christmas now, if not at other times as well. People stealing packages off of other people's porches, stoops, etc. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people out there that feel very, very sorry for themselves, that think, oh my God, here's somebody that can afford a nice package for their kid for Christmas. I can't do that. I don't have the money, so I'm going to steal somebody else's. What if that package isn't a toy? What if that package is medication? What if that package is something that somebody is waiting for to survive on because of an illness? Okay? That's what's the problem with this country is it's so selfish. It's so I, me, and only I and me, as our new administration is, that we don't consider other people. We show no considerations. Okay? When was the last time you saw too many people or everybody holding the door for somebody else? They don't. Jumping in lines in the stores. Okay? Jumping in lines when you have to wait a couple of minutes outside of a movie theater. This country has no longer shown the patience to allow consideration to fill their lives. Okay? Anti this, anti that. There's no tolerance. There's no acceptance. Okay? People have an opinion on this, that, and the other thing. And most of those opinions, quite frankly, are one of 2 things. And I had a conversation within a group not long ago about, is bigotry and ignorance one and the same thing? And to a certain degree it is, absolutely. But the difference between the 2 is that bigotry is something that somebody learned from somebody or something else. Okay? And those people are just too darn lazy to try to find out what the other side of the question may be. Oh, somebody told me this and I'm going to believe that because I like that person or I believe that, rather than checking it out to see if in fact LGBTQIAs are as evil or as alien as they have been told. No. Oh, so-and-so told me this, so I'm going to go along with that. That's bigotry. That's brainwashing. They have been brainwashed. Okay? That's what bigotry is. They've been brainwashed and they don't have the gumption to go find something out. Ignorance, on the other hand, and I have coined a new phrase, it's called ignorance is easy. And it is. Ignorance is easy. Because you don't have the desire or the inclination to learn. You don't want to go out and find out, is this true about what's being said about somebody else or something else? Okay? It's easier to say, oh, well, I'll go along with that person. And then that way I don't have to exercise my brain or exercise my eyeballs in trying to read and find out, is this in fact true? Okay? Or talk to a transgender person or a lesbian or a gay or bisexual person, okay? And find out how they feel and why they feel that way. Instead of listening to Joe Blow over here or Donald Trump talk about how evil we are. I'm not evil. I don't do anything different than most of you people do out there. Other than I do feel that I'm a lot more considerate of other people. I'm much more tolerant. And finding out that I am in fact transgender has led me to know what it's like to be persecuted and people not taking the time to find out. I've had many people when I was working different places. I'm now retired, but I've had many people who have come up and seriously asked me questions as to, well, I know somebody that's transgender too. What I don't understand. I have no problem telling somebody or trying to help them understand whatsoever. And there is not a transgender person alive on this earth. And FYI, transgenders have been around for over 3,000 years. The American Indians embraced transgenders. The Hindu religion embraces transgenders. Okay? There are many very early civilizations that have accepted and embraced transgenders. Okay? Just because you have a minister that is so hot on himself that he can't accept other people being who they are doesn't make him right. Okay? So that is, and I was thinking about it on the way in. Look, look at all these people with no concern about whether they're following the law, no concern about whether they're showing consideration to other people. Okay? And that's what's wrong with our country. I know for a fact there's countries out there where people are a heck of a lot more considerate of others, and I use this term a lot. There are people that live and let live and don't get it stuck in their head that it's up to them to tell somebody else how to live. Because it's not. It's not up to me to tell anybody out there how they should live. Okay? If you don't like the way I live, leave me alone and stay away from me. And I likely will do the same thing if I don't like the way somebody else lives. But it's not my job on earth to tell anybody how they should live. We're all judged by God in the end. That's right, by God. Nobody else. Not your neighbor, okay? Not your friend, not your priest, not your minister, not your pastor, not the guy on the corner of State and Randolph with a microphone talking about this Bible verse and another. No. God is my only judge. Outside of a criminal experience, or outside of doing something criminal, or committing a crime, nobody is my judge or jury. Okay? So, what I'm saying to all of you out there is, I think there's a phrase in the Bible that says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." Hello, caller. We have a caller. Do you have a question or a comment, caller?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
I heard you speaking just then about groups of people not allowing other people to live their authentic selves.
Exactly.
And myself, as an atheist who has been persecuted for my beliefs in the religious environment in this country for my entire life, I just wonder. I mean, judges and juries do judge people, and that's what we do. There's no into this xenophobic thing that it runs throughout our culture. It's one group of people will say the other group of people is wrong, and the other group of people will stand there and go, well, why? And I've always, had a kindred, how do you say this? I guess an agreement with LGBTQ, racial minorities, people who've been sort of disenfranchised from the joy that this world supposedly has.
Right.
It's only because those people, the people who will try to force you to live as they would like you to, all think there's something else beyond us acting like we're the most intelligent species on the planet. So I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. More power to you. Rock on, sister. It's all good.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you so much. Yes, I know that there's countries where other people's business is not a big deal for another person. Yeah, I know there's countries where what my neighbor does shouldn't have any effect on how I live my life, and I shouldn't be judging them as long as they're not judging me. And even if they are judging me, it's not my business. I wasn't brought on earth to judge anybody, except in a criminal court proceeding. Then we are asked to be jurors of a peer group to decide whether they did right or wrong. But it has nothing to do with their lifestyle. It has nothing to do with what they believe. Okay? And I've said all along, the choice of somebody's beliefs religiously is their choice, and they have every right to believe how they believe. But nobody, including ministers, pastors, priests, have the right to impose their beliefs on somebody else. Okay? And what you said is well said, and I agree 100%. Why is it that John Doe cares about how you feel religiously? Okay? We have so many religions in this world now, it's beyond belief. Okay? What's wrong with the way Buddhists believe? What's wrong with the way, Hindus believe, or those that believe in Confucius, or even Muslims? Okay? They can believe what they want as long as they don't try to impose it on others. And that's where the problem begins. Our whole world is in a turmoil because of people trying to impose on other people their beliefs. And it's not their place to do so. We wouldn't have the wars we have or have had if we would have learned, which we haven't, obviously, to live and let live. You make something that's none of your business, you make something your business that is not your business of somebody else's, and that wasn't said the correct way I wanted to, but nobody has any business in someone else's life. Now, if I come to you and ask you your opinion, then you have every right to state your opinion. But nobody has the right to walk up to me and tell me I'm a sinner, or that I'm going to hell, or that, any such thing as that, because it's not their choice anyway. That's God's choice, not theirs. And whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, or which God you believe in, or how many other names you want to call him or don't want to call him, or whatever, it's no one's business but your own. And how I live and how somebody else lives is nobody's business but mine or theirs. Okay? 99% of the population in the world probably have trouble or problems taking care of their own lives. So concentrate on your own life and get out of other people's business. Okay? The world would run a heck of a lot smoother if people paid attention to laws and consideration. We wouldn't have as many deaths on the highway. Okay? I'll bet you at least a third of the cars I saw on the expressway coming in didn't have their lights on when their windshield wipers were working. That's a state law. That's a state law, for God's sakes. you're supposed to follow a safe distance behind the next guy, even if you're pulling up to a stoplight or a stop sign. Why do you have to be right up on the bumper of the guy in front of you? You think you're going to go any faster? You think you're going to get that person to go any faster? You're going nowhere, number one, and you're not going to get there any faster than the guy in front of you. And the margin between how close you are versus how far you should be is a matter of maybe a second or two. If that much means, if that much time means so much in your life, for God's sake, start out earlier. And you wouldn't have to be in such a hurry. But again, that is the I, me philosophy. Oh, I don't care about the next guy. I need to get here, and yeah, I'm running late, so I now no longer care about the other drivers. I no longer care about this, that, or the other thing. We have a very, very selfish mindset in this country. We have a very terrible mindset that we are more important than somebody else. Okay? Which makes no sense. A good example was, taking a package off of somebody's porch or stoop. For Pete's sakes, if that person is depending on that for medical reasons or for how they live or whatever, that's just total lack of consideration. A big word, yes. Bigotry and ignorance. Two little words that are done a lot more than consideration in this country. And that's the truth. That's why there's foreigners that don't particularly like to see Americans show up in their country. Oh, you have to learn my language. I should not have to learn how to talk in your language. Okay? We are a very arrogant, egotistical country. And we're not making friends at all. And we can't make friends with each other in our own country because of the bigotry, the ignorance, and the lack of consideration. Tolerance, whatever you want to call it, acceptance, they all have the same effect. It's sad when there are so many. State of Illinois. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, state of Illinois and the state of California are the two biggest states in the country that are very accepting, tolerant, and considerate towards anybody and everybody. I don't care if it's LGBTQIAs or if it's races or whatever. Okay? And yet they're leaving Illinois. Why? Okay? So, anyway, that concludes my tirade, I suppose, if you want to call it that. I hope it's fodder for thought for a lot of people. I hope it's something that somebody thinks about. The gentleman that called in, I want to thank him so very, very much because we are no longer united. Our country says the United States. No, we're not. We're no longer united because we got way too many out there nitpicking at who is what and what is who. Okay? And that makes no sense. That's not what the country was all about. So, I will be back next month, third Friday of the month, at the same time, same bat station. And I hope to see you then. Okay? We'll see. I am hoping, just FYI, it looks like perhaps that one of our guests in the near future is going to be Congressman Danny Davis from Illinois, who's going to come on, and he's going to talk with us a little bit. So I can't tell you who our guest is next month, but I hope you will tune in, and we will see you then. Until then, goodbye.